Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call to order the work session meeting of the Elmwood Park Mayor and Council for August 5th, 2021, to order at 7:10 p.m. On roll call, Council members Balistreri.
Here.
Fakori. Here. Fasolo. Absent. Golubek. Present. Pellegrin.
Here.
Council President Wetchler.
Here.
Mayor Coletti.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Erin. Let me first welcome everyone here this evening and apologize for being slightly late. It was beyond our control. We have a lot to do this evening, so let's get started. Whereas Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of the State of New Jersey require at the commencement of every meeting a statement of compliance be read by the presiding officer. Now, therefore, be advised that meeting requirements for this meeting have been met by publishing an annual notice in the Record and Herald News of Woodland Park, and by posting such in the office of the Borough Clerk as well as in a public place within the municipal building, and by also notifying interested citizens. Notice was posted on January 8th, 2021, and published on January 13th, 2021. Proceeding here, would anyone from the public care to speak on anything at this point? If not, I will close the public portion. Erin?
Thank you, Mayor. First on the agenda this evening is the engineer's report. We have a few items before our borough administrator will review their monthly status report. The first is a PSE&G road update, and also on the same email thread is a drainage update. I don't know if Mr. Foligno would like to briefly review that.
PSE&G, as you know, PSE&G, as you're aware, doing a lot of gas main work in town for quite some time. We've been coordinating with Public Service, our DPW superintendent, on figuring out which roads we get credit for. We're not paving half roads, and that we've been going back and forth. We have to get the curb and concrete work done first, so that's in the works. It's almost done, getting all that scheduled. The drainage project is getting ready to be bid shortly. Delimo's preparing that. Did you want me to continue on the, or you just wanted those two talked about? Basketball courts, we're bidding that out probably in September. We said we were doing 3 new courts: Borough Field, Gall Ave, and Birchwood. Delimo's preparing the bids for that. That was done with a capital bond. Traffic signal, River and River, we're still going back and forth with the engineers department in the county. Drainage improvement we spoke about. Marina, preparation of preliminary assessment previously authorized by the borough is anticipated to be complete in the next couple of weeks. They are amending the concept plan to show options that have been discussed and to also address permitting and traffic safety issues. Rosemont Park, we just got a new proposal for the lighting. It was slightly more expensive than we thought. The borough CFO has to do a supplemental bond. I believe it came in $14,000 higher than was left in the bond, so he is preparing a supplemental bond in order to pay for the additional cost of the lighting there. That's pretty much it. Improvements to MOLA. Pre-construction meeting was held last year. Due to the passage of time and change of personnel here at Alimo, they have scheduled another pre-con meeting August 6th. Recent review of the project has found that the contract amount includes allocation for fuel and asphalt price adjustments. So, you know, when this was bid, gas prices and asphalt were at different cost. That has increased, so Tom is working the numbers and he's going to present something to us at our next meeting. That's all I have for this.
Thank you, Michael. Excellent report.
Question, I'm sorry, Mike, so PSE&G is done on the boulevard?
With their gas work?
Yeah.
I don't believe so. Nope.
I mean, that's the line, it says PSE&G is complete
Yeah,
with their
it's
work.
difficult to get a straight answer out of them. They don't know, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, but we have a follow-up meeting with them next week.
It's very critical to pave that road.
Extremely, and we made that very clear to them.
Mike, can I ask a question? I don't know if
Yes.
it totally relates to this, but when we were at the concert the other night, National Night Out, like there was like a sewer smell again, and some people were saying that they smelt that at the other previous Tuesday night concerts. And I'm just wondering, because I know for a long time we didn't smell it anymore, and now we are. So I don't know if you could reach out to Scott with that and investigate why that's happening again.
Do we know if it's coming from the area of Borough Field, or they suspect this is from the Markel area?
No, they're suspecting from the pump house thing right
Okay,
there.
I'll ask
Yeah,
Scott.
because it was, remember I even said to you, I was talking to you, and it was like, and I thought, oh, maybe it's me, and people came up to me and said, that's coming from there again. We didn't have that for a long time, and they noticed that some other concerts, especially if the wind's blowing. If it's still, you don't smell it as much.
Right, I'll ask Scott to investigate and get a report back to me.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Any other questions on the engineer's report? Moving along?
Okay, yeah, so we already went over items number 1A and 1D. I just briefly wanted to point out for their proposal for design services, the 2021 road program, the one in front of you this evening needs to be updated with different roads. So Mr. Feligno will be working with Alimo on that, and we'll be sending it out electronically to the mayor and council before the 19th meeting, just so it doesn't hold up bidding out the project. So although it needs to be updated, we are still hoping to, we still will have that proposal approved at the meeting on the 19th. And then just very quickly, 1C, we awarded Alimo a not to exceed amount of $25,000 for miscellaneous services for the year. It only has just over 1,000 left after their June invoices. So,
We need to replenish.
exactly.
Any suggestions on the amount to replenish?
What are we down to? Is it,
$1,000, as she said.
I'd go
I
up to
mean,
50.
so we spent the 25 in basically half a year, maybe the rest of the year left, we do 20?
25 for the whole year, and we're 3/4 of, well,
And that's gone, so,
yeah, what I don't want to do is give them too much, and then they just use it up for the sake of using it up.
15?
10,
Okay,
They charge this when it's outside of the scope of an approved engineering project.
Right.
So I don't know where they would use it up just for fun.
well, when they're charging, instead of charging less, they'll charge more.
I don't think we apply that standard to all our people that we do, not to exceed
Does it
4.
hurt if they have to come back in here? We keep it low and add on to it later on.
If 10 makes you feel good.
I'm sorry,
If-
Daniel?
If 10 makes you feel good, we'll do it, but
Makes me feel very good.
why don't we do 8?
10.
Is everyone okay
Is
with
that
an
okay?
additional 10,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I just make a comment on 1B? It's my opinion that the drainage project is a standalone infrastructure project that the council chose to do. It's not road paving. It's a standalone infrastructure project to fix something that has come up. So the most recent things I'm looking at, especially since we've added this 30% curb requirement, we're looking at a number of $600,000 left for road paving, and we're accomplishing very few roads with that kind of budget. The last 3 years, we've done about $1 million in road paving, and my personal opinion is we should stick to that. The drainage project was a standalone project the council chose to do. So I think as this list is refined by the BA and the engineer, that we'll get a lot further with getting our roads up to par by sticking to the $1 million number, especially with this new curb requirement that we did that really cuts out more that we can do in terms of paving. So I throw that out there. We're not getting much accomplished with 600,000.
Not surprising, I disagree with you. We talked about $1 million each of the years, and if you recall, when I had left in 17, I had boosted it up to $1 million because of the severity of 15 and 16, the winters. Now we got accustomed to $1 million and we're kind of spoiled. Okay, let's go with the million, but that should include the drainage also. We don't want to bring it up to $1,400,000 now. You know, we got to pull back on the reins in certain areas. And I'm not saying not to spend $1 million, but I'm saying let's not spend $1.4 million.
But again, my position is that these are separate projects. Drainage has
Can't
come
hear you,
about-
Daniel.
Drainage has come about, so you did a separate bond on roads that were not paving to address drainage. That's something that the town chose to do, just like we choose to do sewer upgrades, choose to do park upgrades. I just don't see that they're in the same realm. A few years ago, the council decided to do $1 million for road paving. We've done it 3 years in a row because that's what we felt we needed to do to keep up with our roads and get them to where they want to be. You know, so my concern is that every year, if we come up with something else to improve, the $1 million number is going to have to come down as a result of that. I don't understand the need for
At
that.
the end of the day, you're spending $1.4 million of taxpayers' dollars versus $1 million. There lies the dilemma.
Again, I just throw that out there to give the chief and the engineer $1 million to work with. The last version that I saw of emails from Tom Lemanowitz had 4 streets on it, 2 of which no actual people live on. So where are we going with this if we spend $1 million to fix drainage or puddles, pave 2 roads that no one lives on, and then 1 road, half of which isn't in Elmwood Park? That's just my point, that if we're going to spend that money, I think we should spend it where the maximum effect goes to the residents of Elmwood Park. And we're not there yet right now.
Daniel, there's probably 50 streets in this town that could be considered for repaving. But it has to align with our budget. Once we start exceeding it, then there's the loss to the taxpayers. And I don't think we should go over that $1 million at this point. I understand what you're saying.
We're not. I'm suggesting 1 million as last year.
No, you're defining paving. Well, drainage is paving also. You do not pave unless your drainage is done correctly first. That's all in back of us. We made mistakes in the past. Now we got to correct that. Let's get squared up here with our drainage. Then going forward with the paving would be the proper sequence of doing things.
Right, but the drainage we're proposing is not on any of the streets we're proposing to pave.
It's still $1.4 million versus $1 million. Any way you chew this up, you want to go back and forth.
I know, but you can take everything we bond in the whole year and look at it. You know what I mean?
Which we should. That's our job.
But you're not right now. You're throwing the drainage into
I
it.
am trying to reduce what you're requesting from $1.4 million to $1 million.
Drainage is a project you brought forward to the council, which is great. The council decided to support it, and it moved forward. My point is simply that we've paved 1 million in roads the last 3 years. We've made tremendous progress in doing it, and I think it's smart to continue that, because that'll get us caught up to making sure every road is in good drivable condition sooner rather than later.
Well, then you better get another $50 million, because we got another 50 roads you can do.
I'm just giving my opinion.
you
This isn't just for you, Mayor. I'm throwing this out there so the BA has some guidance so that we can get more done for the residents.
So the BA does need some guidance since we are in a tighter time frame because they need to adjust this proposal. So I think that we need guidance from the rest of the council on whether you want the $1 million to include both the drainage and the roads or just roads.
Can I, Mayor?
Yes,
Can I say
please.
something? So, and Mr. Rigatano's here. The COVID relief money that we got, $2 million, or we got part of it, right? I believe that could be used for infrastructure, and the drainage may fall under that. So you may want to consider that in making your decision.
So that was part of my report this evening. I'm on the agenda for the corrective action plan. Want me to go into this right now?
Yeah, Roy, can you come up and sit up here and speak into the mic? Otherwise, the sound system will not record you.
Do you want to do his report, or do you want to talk about this?
Do you want to do the capital while you're on this subject?
Do you want to just table this for the moment? Let Roy do his report?
What question do we have for, let's resolve this one.
Yeah, I would do this and then the capital when he's in.
Okay.
So I just want him to either affirm or not that that's accurate, that infrastructure can be paid for with the money that we receive.
So the American Rescue Plan, we've received 1,044,906. That's one half of what we're going to get. Next year, you'll get the other 1,044. There's four categories that you could spend this money. We're still waiting for guidance. I was with another auditing firm today, and with the Association of the GFOA, which I am executive member of. We're supposed to have definitive guidance sometime next week. What is definitive is you can use partial or all of these funds for infrastructure remediation. There's no doubt about that. So you can use some of these funds or all towards infrastructure.
How about tax relief?
No. So we're still waiting for guidance on that. There's been such controversy on, can you plug the revenue from the shortfalls last year? The guidance that we're getting, unofficial, because we're still waiting for the American Act, the Attorney General's opinions to be released. We are only getting superficial guidance. That is not part of what you can use that money for. That is contrary to what was said in March, where some of that money could be used. But as your CFO right now, and working with the attorney, I am not suggesting at this time we use that as a plug.
Okay, so we are going to spend $1 million for sure, possibly $1.4 million. You can give us $500,000. It brings us down to $900,000 if we went with Daniel's plan. If we go with my plan, it brings us down to $500,000. So it's irrelevant where we put this money. It's the fact that you're spending what we're either going to spend $1 million or $1.4 million for getting the give back from the government. That's what the question is here right now. Do you want to be spending $1.4 million or do you want to be spending $1 million?
The question is, how much should we spend on road paving this year? It's a
And
standalone question.
And for the councilman, that's a good question. Remember, the American CARES plan is for infrastructure. It is not for flood mitigation. It is not to pay debt. You cannot pay debt on this. So these are going to have to be very well defined, because the State Controller's Office of New Jersey, on October 31st, we have to give a report. That report has to be explicit to what we're using these funds for.
Could our drainage, I'm sorry for interrupting you, could our drainage be considered infrastructure?
At this time, no, you cannot use drainage. It can only be for paving, milling. But again, Mayor, we have to give it another week till we get in writing what you can definitively use these funds for. Infrastructure, my professional opinion right now, is for paving and milling, not mitigation for floods.
Is that by definition of the governor? Because if you use the definition of infrastructure, drainage is definitely part of that definition.
I am not arguing with you. I agree, but you have to go with some of the documents that have been released. I'll get you a copy.
All right, so at this point, actually, what he's saying it's immaterial, because there's nothing definite here that he can actually say and be 100% on.
Other than milling and paving, Mayor, I'm comfortable. But again, I'm not going to put my pen to any paper for another week till we know definitively that indeed we can do that.
Okay, and I want to go on the record saying that part of infrastructure is drainage, pipes, bridges. Paving is probably the least part of it, unless you're getting a description from the governor specifying that, or from who's ever handling the item. Okay, where are we?
Well, let's just make a decision to give the chief guidance so he can work with the engineer and
1
come up with a
million
number.
taxpayers' dollars versus 1 million for taxpayers' dollars.
The question
Go ahead,
is,
call-
how much should we
call-
spend on
call your roll.
paving?
Okay, so it would either be the $1 million includes drainage or doesn't. If it does not, then you would be spending $1.4 million. So what is the governing body's pleasure? Doris?
No, I'm sorry, we decided to do drainage already, right? We floated the bond, it's going out to bid.
Correct.
Off the table, made that decision already. The question before the council is, do we spend $1 million on paving or less?
No, it's not. The
Yes, it is.
question here is, are we spending for the year or some cycle $1 million or 1.4? Don't confuse the situation here.
Council President?
Okay, first of all, I have a problem with the mayor. You keep on saying about taxpayers' dollars. We collect this this money for this town, to represent this town. We sit here as important, as authorization people. And we are involved, and we have the right to spend as much money as we need to make sure this town is safe for everybody. So if we have to pay $1.4 million to do the drainage and everything else, that's what we have to do. You want to give money back to this town, but you're not correcting the town what we have our problems with. So I say 1.4. That's it. You want to give money back?
Councilwoman Balistrary?
So I feel, as we said, we're going to spend $1 million on the pavement, and the drainage was separate. So I will go with the extra 400 if that's needed that way.
Councilman Fakori?
I'm all about beautifying the town, so I'm just going to go with the 1.4.
Councilwoman Pellegrin?
I'm going to go with the 1.4.
All right. So Mike, there's your answer.
Answer, Mike. You didn't have to stick him. Aaron, you forgot to ask stick him.
I already know his answer.
Oh, okay. Well, just for the record, so this way.
For the record, he wants a 1.4.
Okay. This way later on, nobody can say anything wrong.
Okay, moving on to discussions, we have item number 2A, which is in regard to 8991 Echo Place. The DPW had to address some of the conditions there, so we are just looking for the mayor and council support to put a lien on the property.
May I address that, Mayor?
Yes, please, Sal.
In view of the circumstances, I was contacted by the building department. In the event that it was necessary, I already have a resolution prepared to address that.
Now we can hear you.
I said in view of I was contacted by the building department regarding the maintenance of that address, and in anticipation, I already prepared a resolution that the council can adopt to allow the DPW to go there and do what they're supposed to do.
Okay. So we are completely legal with this move. Very good.
As a matter of fact, I had a discussion with the building department to amend the zoning, the ordinance regarding the maintenance to include this for future aspect. This way they don't have to keep coming before the council to get approved.
How can we do that, Sal?
Well, what you do is you amend the ordinance whereby you allow the building department to issue a summons. Based on that, it goes before the court, then the court determines whether in fact there is a violation. Based on that the court's determination that there is a violation, then they can act and proceed to clean up the property. And the cost of cleaning up goes on the tax.
Don't we have something like that in effect now? No? Mike?
We did it by resolution,
Oh, okay.
not on the ordinance.
Okay.
That's why I would want to amend it.
Great, okay. Council, we'll all for that?
The only way
I
that
I have a question, Mayor.
Yes.
Sorry. Go ahead, Sal.
the only way that the DPW can go on the property, it would have to be the authorization where the court finds that there is a violation, and then it directs the building department to proceed accordingly to the ordinance, which will authorize then the DPW to go on the property.
Mayor, may I?
Yeah, please.
So, Sally, the problem we're having is many properties are in this situation. The summons is getting issued, it's going to court, they're not showing up, the courts are not issuing bench warrants for these situations, so they're not even hearing it.
So what there has to be with the ordinance is the direction given to the court, being that the court has a summons before it. It calls out the violator. Violator doesn't show up, it's a default. Notice will be sent to the property owner, registered mail. This will be covered on the ordinance. Will be sent to the registered mail to the owners, advising that the court has found them to be in default. And the violation, if not corrected, would be authorizing the DPW to go on the property and do whatever has to be done for maintenance purposes. This is after notice. There's a process, a procedure that will be laid out in the amendment of the ordinance where it authorizes the court to issue the particular, if they don't show up, they don't show up. That's default. There's a complaint. If there's a criminal complaint and they don't show up, because this is a quasi-criminal complaint, exactly. All right? They don't show up, the court can actually issue a warrant. But what are you going to do after a warrant? You can't serve a warrant.
But they won't issue a warrant. What they've been doing is they just continually relist it, hoping that the person will show.
You can't have that. That's why the ordinance will allow, when the court finds that there is an existing violation.
But they're not even hearing it because the person's not showing up, so they can't determine whether there's a violation or not. So is there a way to say that we give them a 10-day letter to resolve it? They don't resolve it, we send them a summons. They don't appear in court. After that first non-appearance, we want to give authorization to the DPW to cut it.
Then I can draft the ordinance to address it.
That's the way I think it should be written, because of,
But you have to give the court an opportunity to hear it.
right, so if upon the first non-appearance, we authorize the DPW to cut it, whether the court issues a warrant, a default or not, which they're not issuing anything at this time, can we give the DPW? So I would suggest that if that's lawful, that's how we should write it.
I will try to draft it so that it covers the concern.
Shakib, you had something you wanted to add?
Mike, are these people defying the order or they just can't do it? They're not able to do it?
I mean, I don't think that's been determined. I mean, whether they can or can't doesn't really matter to us. They have to, if they're not physically capable, they need to get a landscaper. I mean, they have to maintain their property. If we get into, every case of can you or can't you, that's really opening a can of worms,
Shakib, in some cases, the houses are abandoned. Some cases, maybe the people can't afford it, but that puts a burden and encumbers your neighbor on both sides of you. It breeds rodents when you start allowing the foliage to grow to extreme heights. So it seems a little cruel to maybe that 1 out of, or 2 out of 10 people that just are indigent in the sense. But overall, in order to keep this town looking and running right, we need some teeth in this ordinance.
No, I agree with you, Mayor, but maybe there is a way we can find them some help in a different way. Where,
I got an idea.
yeah,
You and me on Saturdays.
I would love to, Mayor.
We
I
get
would
a
love to.
lawnmower.
Yeah, absolutely, no
I have a
problem.
pickup truck. We'll put it on the back and we'll go down.
No problem. But I think if we can find them an agency or something that can help these people. 'cause
Well,
I-
to your point, is there a organization out there that specifically is, they're out there to serve in this type of a situation?
I have a suggestion.
Go ahead, Roy.
You give us the actual address, block and lot. We'll determine if they're indigent or not through the taxation. The borough's taxes are being completely paid up to date. Anytime there's been a problem, whether it be property maintenance or issues of this nature, it's usually an absentee landlord sucking money out of the town. That's it. That's exactly what happens. So I think with the attorney, I'll help you with that. It's called a mechanical lien. We've done it in the past, and we attach it to the tax, and we do it at a tax sale.
Thank you, Roy.
Any more conversation on this item? So we can move ahead?
Okay. Mayor, item number 2B will be discussed in executive session under legal. So moving on to 2C, we have Mr. Rigatano here to discuss our corrective action plan for our 2020 audit.
Good evening, everyone. Proud to say, under the law, I'm required to appear before you to go over the audit. And for you as a council, you are to read under your obligations the one part of the audit at least, and that's audit comments and recommendations. I couldn't be more pleased to tell you this 2020 audit findings is anything but remarkable through the COVID, through the staff, again, through you as a council supporting all of the offices. It can't be any better. There's 4 comments. That's it. There is nothing of consequence. It's housekeeping, but the law requires me to appear and to go through it. So the first one is basically we still have some departments purchasing goods and services before the purchase order is issued. We're working on that to get that hopefully off the record for next year. Excuse me. There was, after our tax collector left 2 years ago, there was some tax titling premiums and redemptions that did not tie into the computer system. I believe we now have that rectified. We still have some ordinances, bond ordinances over 5 years old. I did not agree that we should cancel them at this time because some of them are still active. However, I will go over with the auditor what he appears that wants us to, by resolution, cancel some of the older ordinances. And the last one is one that's many towns are going to be putting in their audits, and that's basically the borough sick leave supplemental payment policies. They have to be amended and brought into and up to compliance with the state law 48.9 10.4. That is the controversial sick pay that you've been reading in papers with now not just 1 or 2 towns, but there's about 30 towns now that are in quote violation. We are not here in Elmwood Park, so we have a fabulous labor attorney. He has given us the complete guidance, Mike and I believe the contracts are now up to today's standards, and I don't think we should have any issues with that going forward. It's in my opinion, it's as best order as you could get with the circumstances. So I appeared before you. If there are questions on a specific item, for the record, if you could ask so that we can then get an affidavit for the next meeting that you have at least heard me and you've read that part of the audit, which you will get a copy of.
So Roy, what you're saying, basically these 4 items are either gone or in a process, a work in process?
At least 3 of the 4 are done. They're cleaned up.
Okay. Any comments by the council?
I'd like to thank Roy for all his hard work and all your staff that worked with you. Great job.
Great news.
Thank you, Roy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
You always do a tremendous job for the borough,
Thank you.
always.
So Roy, I'm going to ask you to slip out of your shoes for a second and become an auditor. Now, if you were an auditor and you had to rate our performance, I know this is asking the kettle almost to review the kettle, but how would you rate that in terms of negativity or positivity?
It's probably the best audit in 23 years serving as your CFO.
Okay.
So 10.
It's a 10.
Do we still need Roy for anything else, council?
No, we're good. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Great job.
Thank you.
Call back with the score of the Yankee game, huh? Are they?
Thank you, Roy. Okay, moving on to resolutions, we have a dedication by rider, which is needed whenever you're accepting donations and you don't know the exact amounts that you'll be receiving. And this one is in regard to honoring Senior Citizens Day. So it's for unanticipated revenue in your budget.
Do we,
Three,
do we have anything planned for that, or?
I don't know.
That is, the president of the Board of Health, John DiMarzio, wants to do a Senior Citizen Day, October 2nd, to honor our senior citizens and have like a, a nice atmosphere, little festival kind of day just for them. And he's putting together many vendors that will come, that will explain to them the different services that could be provided to them. So it's going to be a whole big day of festivities and help for our seniors, plus fun, music, food. So they're still working on it.
Where's it gonna be?
It's going to be on Market Street. They're closing a certain section for like 3 or 4 hours across from like the church. And, of course, Mike knows about it and has approved that. And it's a work in progress yet. They're still getting their vendors in place, but it's supposed to be a beautiful, beautiful day. He wanted to really do something great for our senior citizens. And not just services, but like a fun day too. And the food will all be donated and free music, no cost to our seniors. So it's still in a process. There'll be flyers coming out, more information. Mr. DiMarzio may come to the next meeting in August and explain a little more about it.
And who's sponsoring it?
The
heading-
Board of Health, and he's the Board of Health President, John DiMarzio. So our Board of Health is going to work with him and get it, but he's spearheading that day.
Sounds good. Real good.
Okay, 3B is a request for a purchase under their capital from the police department to purchase cameras at intersections.
This is just the actual resolution?
Yes, it was already incorporated in the capital bond.
Mike, what intersections are we talking about? This way I make sure I stay away from them.
Believe we're doing Broadway and Orange, we're doing Market and Mola, and River and Market.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, 3C is a request for 2 additional summer care counselors. 3D is also another capital request, so this was already accounted for under capital bond this year, and it's for flashing pedestrian signs. 3E is a redemption, actually 2 redemptions of third-party tax liens. 3F is a franchise agreement for bus stop shelters, of which our borough attorney previously discussed with the mayor and council. So in front of you is the resolution and the actual agreement for these shelters.
Can I say something about this? So we are going to have shelters in different locations in our community. Yes, thank you, thank you. Because as I see people stand in the bad weather, in the snow, in the rain, in the cold, those shelters do help our residents. And while we're driving by, in our cars, they're standing out in this weather. So I am so pleased. Thank you so much, Sal, for getting this done. And Mike, I know you were a big part of it too, because our residents really need those shelters. So thank you.
When I negotiated the contract with them, I limited it to the first 5 years. They want 10 years. But I limited the first 5 years with a renewal of another 5 years. So every 5 years, the council can review their action, whether they're maintaining the bus stops in a good, the shelter in a good condition. Also, you have to understand that there's advertising that will be there, and of course, I made sure that any kind of advertising that is objectionable to the mayor and council, you will have the right to call them up, advise them, and they will have to remove it.
How many are we talking throughout the town, Sal?
I don't know how many, but I'm sure they're gonna be popping them up all over the place.
Well, do we want to give them unlimited access, or do we want to put a cap on it?
Technically, it's in coordination with the police department and the DPW, where they can be picking.
Okay, so then the police
It's not
department,
that they just can't go wild putting up these things everywhere. There's certain areas where there's bus stops.
no, but also we don't want them every 20 feet. But by capping it, or putting some kind of restriction on the cap, we'll be able to control it.
Can't we just ask them to work with our police chief and
Is this an
they have to
ordinance
be
now?
approved by him?
Is this an
you know,
ordinance?
where-
It's a resolution?
This is an award, the contract.
Can we write in there that, with the approval of the police department?
Yeah.
Okay, so then we're good.
Yeah.
So if we disagree, it doesn't go.
So we're good. Okay, we're good? Okay, well, unanimous on that one.
It has to be approved by.
Yeah, this way there's some kind of a restriction.
Okay, 3G is a request for an area in need of redevelopment. In this case, the owners of the property would have to place an escrow funds so that the monies for the study do not come out of the borough's pocket. And this is the property on Route 46, the Victorian property.
I have a question, if I may.
Yeah, sure.
So the resolution, as I read it, establishes this, whatever, this partnership, the ability for them to pay for it, but this resolution doesn't authorize a study to be conducted. Am I right? I mean, if we're doing one, would it make sense just to do the other one, just so the process moves forward, as opposed to, if they can't, they can't, but if we move this to next week's meeting, setting up the account, could we do a resolution authorizing the study at the same time, just so that time isn't wasted? They sent their letter about 3 months ago.
Well, before we get to that, my question is, why are we receptive to every builder that comes into the town and is looking for a redevelopment request? What is our incentive to do that? A case in point, at the planning board the other night, there was some issues on River Road where he felt half of the parcel, original parcel, was designated for redevelopment, and the 3 other parcels weren't. So I don't understand why we're allowing this process.
Didn't this come up in executive already? That's the only reason it's on here, because the conversations were already had on this.
We're having a conversation on this right
Yeah,
now.
but
So
I mean,
what are you trying to cut that off?
No, but if we get too into the weeds on this conversation, we're better off having it in executive.
Why do we have to do that?
My question is simply, so the council at some point made a decision that people who want to do a study have to pay for it, right?
But why are we, we can't have every developer come into this town and request the benefits of a redevelopment. Where is the plus for the town?
The plus, because that doesn't bind us to any type of decision.
It's just approving a study, Mayor. It's not approving the plan, the building. It's approving the study in order for it to be considered.
To consider. And I can understand when we first started out, our objective was Market Street and the Route 4 corridor. Now it's spreading out throughout whoever, Tom, Dick, and Harry wants to come in and wants a redevelopment study. I think we got to have, we got to stick to our focus, which was Market Street and Route 4 when it comes to redevelopment. That's
Why do we only have to stick to, a certain property?
because some do not, by professionals, they are deemed in need of redevelopment. The 2 that come up before the planning board the other night, on each project, only half of the property was designatable for redevelopment. So, whereas if you take Market Street and you take Route 4, that falls all into that category, and that was our goal initially.
That's not true.
What's not true?
That everything on Market Street and Route 4 falls under that category?
Well, that was our objective.
No, I understand, but that's what the study, they could pay for a study and the planner comes back and says this does not qualify.
Exactly.
That's.
Well, you want to go through that? I mean,
They're paying, the council decided at some point, you're right, the first few, we said, all right, let's do the study, whatever, we want things to happen. The council at some point made a decision that if people want a study, the town to do a study, they're gonna put up the money in escrow, and that's the way it's gonna go. So that's where we are, that's this resolution in front of us. So my question is only, I get what you're saying, but my question is, if we set up this account, can we simultaneously approve a study, or does that have to happen in separate months? That's my question, you know.
When you say we set up an account, we're talking a cost factor that's going to be reimbursed?
Yes, Mayor, so this resolution would establish an escrow that they need to put monies in and we hold on to in order to get reimbursed.
So it's no cost to the town?
Yes.
Well, that makes me feel a little better.
It's basically, from my understanding of it, is that particular property owner or people involved are asking for the borough to establish a fund where they could put the money in to pay for the study. Now, if the study comes out and says, no, it's not, doesn't qualify, wouldn't qualify, then that's what they lost the money for.
Yeah.
It wouldn't cost the town anything.
Well, if they were smart, we have a very smart, Michael, what's the name of, Richard, our planner, the special planner. Yeah, excellent. And he guided the planning board through the process and showed where half of the project, proposed project, was designatable in 2 cases. So now, I know as a developer, I'd want, before I spend money, shouldn't they go to a person that has that know-how and can tell them ahead of time whether they're barking up the wrong tree?
That's what this right here sets up.
Yeah. Okay, okay.
So back to my question, if in a given meeting, there's a resolution to set up an escrow account, right? So next week, could that be a resolution, and then a subsequent resolution authorizing a study pursuant to that resolution being carried out? It's just more efficient. Yeah.
This is the one resolution to establish the account,
Yeah.
the escrow account.
I can add the second resolution,
And the second resolution would be to authorize the study.
no problem.
It's not costing the taxpayers any money. So that's the best.
So you have,
There you go.
Yeah,
It's not saying that it's gonna be built.
I think I already have it.
They could-
Investigation to see if it even fits.
this right here.
Yeah,
one-
yeah.
And if
one
they say it
separate
fits,
resolution.
then you comes back and you say if you want to do
Okay.
it.
My concern is that these developers are starting to bite a little on the town. I'd like to see it guided to our initial objective, which was Market Street and the Route 4 corridor. And we can be very congenial that way, and maybe, not that we want to do anything illegal, but we don't have to be so congenial to something like this if it's not going to be to the best interest of what our objective was to start off with.
With all due respect, Mayor, what you're acting when you're dealing with stuff like this,
Mhm.
with regards to redevelopment, you're not acting as a council anymore, but you're acting as a development board.
What kind of board?
Redevelopment agency.
That was established.
Okay.
But the initial resolution to ask for a study is a council function.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you always need the resolution from,
So we're the council
Yeah.
at the very beginning.
yes, at the beginning, you're the council. But then when anyone can come before you as the board to turn around and say, well, we're looking to this area of town, or there's 4 or 5 different lots, and we want to see if we could redevelop it. And they come before you in an application or a request to consider it. Then you do a study, then you can go, yeah, and then it moves on, if it meets the requirements.
My whole point here is I don't want the council to lose sight of what our initial objective was, and that was Market Street and the Route 4 corridor. That's all. I'm just bringing that to light.
And you're 100% right, Mayor, and I hope some of these different people that are interested in different things set their eyes on here, and we should tell them that. If, as they progress, if any of their things come to fruition, tell them, you need to look at Market Street, do something for us on Market Street. That's totally reasonable to tell them, because that's our goal. I agree.
I agree.
Okay.
It could all work, hopefully.
All right, so next, I'll put both of those resolutions on. Next is a request from the VFW Auxiliary for community use of the municipal building on the first Wednesday of every month.
Mike, you want to elaborate on the usage of that?
Sure, we welcome that, and we would love to have them as guests in our building. I just want to, throw this out there that, the Delta variant is alive, and in the event that we start going in that direction, any extras like that across the board, any groups that use the building, obviously will not be able to use the building, but we'll give them advance notice if that occurs.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, next is a resume for a new Board of Adjustment member, which will take the place of our second alternate. We had a resignation. Our first alternate is moving up, as is the second, so this will be a new member. Okay, next we have a fire department volunteer resignation. And then following that, we have our fire department second quarter stipend report. Moving on to ordinances, we have a request from the police department to install a four-way stop at Martha and Ann and Kip and Ann. Next, we have another request from the police department in regard to parking stalls. Mike, do you want to give a brief little explanation on that?
Sure. So the first one, the four-way stops, Martha and Ann and Kip and Ann. It's just, we've gotten some complaints. You remember the gentleman was here about that area. We do not support speed bumps, speed humps in this town for various reasons that we've talked about ad nauseum. But we do try to mitigate these things with what we call traffic calming or speed calming measures. And by adding a mid-block stop sign, it forces people to come to a stop, slows them down, makes them more aware, and we've done other things with signage over there. So we are doing everything we can on that block to address his concerns. The parking stalls, we did them 2 years ago on Market Street. It helps with parking and condenses the spaces there for people to add more cars. We've just done it in the entire section of the Garden Apartments in Elmwood Village, Glenwood, and all the other areas up there. If we don't have an ordinance that, keeps people inside the stalls, it's fruitless. So that's what we're doing here.
Okay, Mike, thank you.
Okay, item number 4C will be pulled for executive session. With that being said, our departmental reports, we have the library board meeting minutes from June 21st, 2021, building department monthly report for July 2021, Millennium Strategies monthly report through July 2021, and their finance report through July 2021. With that being said, that's all I have, Mayor.
I have a question. Is there an update on the library?
Do you have one?
No, I do not.
What?
Did you go to the meeting today?
I'm sorry?
Did you go to the interviews today? They were interviewing directors. Were you there?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, yesterday, I'm sorry, yesterday. I couldn't make it because I worked.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were
Well,
there.
so what you're saying is they're interviewing
They were interviewing
directors.
for director.
Well, that's part of the update, which you just said. I know what you're looking for, though. Yeah, when is it going to open?
No, we're waiting for the CEO and inspections.
Still a few minor items that have to be cleared up on the fire end as far as permits go. Outside is being renovated in terms of landscaping.
Is the interior done?
For the most, yes, basically it is. It's just, I guess, getting the final punch list on permit items that, for instance, I heard the fire extinguishers had to be charged. I didn't get a formal report, but I'm giving you what I have. Okay, it's time for council reports, Erin?
Yes, Mayor.
Very good. We'll start with Councilwoman Ballesteri.
Okay, short for me. I just want to mention that what a great night at National Night Out on Tuesday. Our chief and his department did an awesome job, as always, each and every year. They clearly love what they do for our community. Then it was followed by our concert series with the Best of the Eagles. Amazing community involvement in both events. Kudos to all that made Tuesday night a success. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Very nice. Good report. Councilman Fatari.
You butchered my name again, Mayor.
I love-
But I forgive you.
I was close though, right? Close to no cigar. Okay.
Close enough. National Night Out was a success. Great job. I want to thank the police department, the fire department, all the people involved that made it happen. It was a great night. I just want to thank few people that do a lot of work behind the scene. The diversity committee, the youth committee, um, Mike and his crew. Can't thank you enough for your guidance for everybody. Councilman Fasolo, who's away, but he's only a phone call away. Tanisha, thank you again. Appreciate everything you do. And progress, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Fasolo's absent. Councilman Golubek.
I just want to say the same. I think the community events are fantastic. It's great to see so many faces at different events. Between multicultural, the baseball game, National Night Out, the concerts, I mean, the events are packed, and I can't remember that we've ever had so many people at them. So I think if we keep that up, if we keep investing in our community, keep doing what we're doing, we're definitely moving the ball forward as in Elmwood Park. Thank you.
Councilwoman Pellegrin.
Yes, I have a few things, so I won't take long, but be patient. Board of Health update, last Wednesday, July 28th, 32 Pfizer vaccines were administered. On August 18th, the second shot will be given. Same location, Borough Hall. The Meridian staff from Hackensack Medical Center was so professional and kind. The clinic was run very efficiently, and we thank the team for a job well done. On a personal note, one of the residents asked me to please take them because they were very apprehensive to get the shot. And I can't tell you the team from Meridian that calmed them down, had them stay double the time after the vaccine, but they were just so helpful and so professional. And I don't think if they were not acting that good, that I think this resident would have said, take me home. But because they were so caring and calm with this person, they did get the vaccine. So we really want to thank them for everything. My Residents Assistance Program update. I, along with Angela Fava and Dion York, our RAP coordinators, attended the Bergen County Food Pantry Summit on July 27th. County Commissioner Tracy Zer heads the Food Security Task Force for Bergen County. Many ideas and resources were shared that morning to better help those in need. There was over 100 pantries in Bergen County to help serve their residents. Networking together with other pantry leaders was so helpful that day. We will be able to help even more of our residents. I want to thank Commissioner Zer for being the driving force to help those in need never be hungry. Her commitment to helping others is evident in all she does. Her team is wonderful, and they are so helpful to the pantries with supplies and any questions that we may have. God bless the task force team for all they do. And again, if any of our residents in need are in need of food or other services, please reach out to Angela Fava or Dion York, 201-796-1457, extensions 106 or 211. My police update. On July 24th, Elmwood Park PD and Garfield PD played in a charity softball game, one of a 3-game series. The proceeds of the event will be donated to the survivors of law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty benefit fund. Garfield won the game 6-5. Game 2 will be played in Garfield on August 27th. Time and field location will be announced soon. National Night Out was held this past Tuesday evening along with the Best of the Eagles music from our concert series. The weather was perfect, and it was so nice to see our residents enjoying the evening. Thank you to our rec department, police department, fire department, and all the volunteers who made the evening very special for all. We truly appreciate all you do for our community. Junior Police Academy started this week for ages 10 to 13. Their graduation ceremony will be held this Friday, August 6th, 2 p.m. on the high school football field. Next week, the second group will begin, ages 14 to 16. We thank our police department for such a wonderful program for our youth. Our community policing department continues biking in Elmwood Park this Sunday, August 8th, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Streets will be closed to traffic on Market Street from Mola Boulevard to Pine Street. Come hang out with your neighbors and friends for a fun afternoon. Lastly, Community Day will be held on September 12th from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. with fireworks show to follow starting at 8 p.m., location Barrowfield. Come join us for a fun day with many different activities. Progress, Mayor.
Thank you. Council President Wetchler?
Yes, I also would like to thank Mike, all your officers, our fire department, the rec department, for your excellent job that you did for Community Night Out. And the baseball game was fantastic with everybody. We all had a great time there. The concerts, I want to thank Jimmy for flying back and forth from Florida every week to come back and do this concert. They were excellent. I just told him I want the 50s music, though, once 50s music. So, what do you call it? Let me tell you, what this police department and the rec department and our fire department is doing for this town, it's never been this way before. My personal, thank you so much for everything, getting this town together. Everybody is so happy with everything that's going on in this town and with the kids. I mean, you couldn't have made it any better, Mike, with the police department. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Progress.
Thank you. Well, in regards to National Night Out and our 5th concert, I think the council has said it all. I can't say much more. But I do want to send kudos out to the events committee. This is a committee that was established early on this year. I believe, Michael, that's when it was first established. I've had the opportunity to sit in on a couple of meetings with them, and I'm very, very inspired by all of them. They're not talkers, they're walkers. And that makes the difference. And if you add that into what we're getting from the police department, as you had said, Doris, what we're getting from the fire department, and et cetera, you put that all together, and yes, we are moving in the right direction, Daniel. Outstanding. I'm very, very pleased. I get a warm and fuzzy feeling about all these events so far. Going forward, I just want to comment on the concerts. The first concert we had was rained out. The second, we had about 125 people. The third, 350 people. 250, I'm sorry. The fourth, 350 people. And outstanding, this week, 500 people. Thereabouts, you know. So it's growing. We ask the rec department to pass out a flyer of the future coming concerts, every concert, so that you might pick up 50 or 100 people for the next one, you know. So it's all working very good. And with that said, I am done. I would like to open this to a public hearing. Anyone from the public here to speak?
Jeff, I think the mic was fixed. If you just hold it on, hold it down until it turns on.
Good evening. 2 questions. One is regarding the purchase of the 3 traffic cameras. What are they going to be used for? Are they going to be used for ticket issuance or traffic control or?
No, you can't use them for issuing summonses,
Oh,
but they're great for solving crimes.
Okay.
Yep.
Are they audio and video?
No, audio, you're not allowed to. It's illegal. It's a wiretapping law. You're not allowed to have audio.
Even like with the shot detection and things like that? I mean, hopefully we don't have to worry about that.
Well, the concussion sensors, we're not getting here. We don't really have too many gunshots, but you're not allowed to have audio, recorded audio, because it violates the New Jersey statute for wiretapping.
Okay. Well, I actually have 3 questions. I'm getting like somebody else that comes up here. The other one was about the property that was spoken about this evening on Route 46. They had already gone before the zoning board, I guess, as everyone's aware. And I think they withdrew. But, so they are going to put the money in escrow if after the second resolution that goes through, and they will then do the study. Will it be their choice of engineers, architect, or will it be the council's choice?
That's a good point, Mike. We would like representation on our end.
It's the borough's choice.
It's in the resolution.
It would be the same company that did the previous
DMR.
studies, DMR.
Okay.
He was good, Jeff.
Okay. The other question is this. Cincoat Paint Factory, where it used to be years ago, somebody owns that now or uses it? On Van Riper.
I'm not sure if someone owns it or not.
Well,
Okay,
somebody,
because I always recall it was like a cleanup.
it was in Brownsfields at the time.
Yeah.
Uh,
And someone actually has gone in there. They've cleaned it up, taken stumps out. I didn't even think they were allowed to excavate in there. And they parked vehicles in there and everything. Because I know before they only parked up to the fence.
Yeah.
So who actually owned, I know the town,
If I'm sorry to cut you off, Mr. Freitag, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that sold in a tax lien?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe so.
I think it was, a couple of years ago, sold in a tax lien, so maybe they're doing the cleanup now, but let me find out tomorrow. It's a good question. What's
yeah,
up?
I mean, they were in there and they kind of started out slow and now it's a lot larger. Okay, just no, one other thing, number 4. On Church Street, it would be between Memorial Place and Market. Is there parking permitted on both the east and west sides? Because I recall there was a resolution.
So there was parking was prohibited on the curve on both sides. We since had a discussion with some of the residents there who objected. They made some good points, so we restricted it on one side only so that we didn't take too many spaces away from the residents. We feel that we kind of split the baby there where we got a little more safety, but we also maintained a little bit of parking.
Okay, because I remember when it was so many feet from Memorial and this and that. So now is the ordinance going to be changed or it has been changed?
We're going to evaluate it, and we bagged the signs on the one, or took the signs down on the one side, so we're not enforcing it. If it resolves and there's no problems, then we'll go back and change the ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Anybody else care to speak? If not, I'll close the public portion. Erin?
Mayor, we need a motion to go into executive.
Motion to go into executive.
Second.
Any discussion? Nope. Call the roll. Is it all in favor?
All in favor,
All in
Mayor.
favor? Thank you.
Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, and whereas the governing body wishes to discuss personnel and legal reports, litigation, minutes will be kept, and once a matter involving the confidentiality of the above no longer requires that confidentiality, then the minutes can be made public. Now therefore be it resolved that the public be excluded from this meeting. Mike, can you hit pause, please?